Hey, Coach. Good morning.
Good morning. Yep, good morning.
And then Dave.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jeff. Or Dave.
I'm sorry. I got you. Doug, do you have any updates on Alshon and Deshaun and whether they can play Sunday?
Updates. So Alshon, we were hoping that he would get some practice reps this week, but he has an illness. It's not related to COVID. It's just an illness, and so he's been out of the building the last couple of days. So obviously he'll be out. Deshaun is another one that we're still trying to get through today to see where he's at, and try to see if he can make it to game time.
With Deshaun, if I may follow up with Deshaun, how have you managed the soft tissue injuries with him? You mentioned last time just about him being a track guy, but also just in light of his age, how do you guys manage his workload, and how has that been? Has that been a struggle?
It really hasn't been a struggle. He's obviously embraced what Ted Rath and his team, the medical staff, have put a plan in place for him. With his specific injuries and lower body injuries, and of course his hamstring. So it's all about strengthening and getting him healthy there, and making sure that he can, there's no soreness. Obviously, you want him to be 100%, and so just trusting that plan that those guys have put together for Deshaun is really what I lean on, and then just talking to Deshaun and just seeing how he feels these last couple of days.
Go ahead, Dave, and then Bo.
Hey, Doug, what was it like the first time you met Jeff Stoutland, and what have been your impressions working with him over the last several years?
My first week on the job back in January of 2016, obviously I had some tough decisions to make, hiring a staff and whatnot, and Coach Stoutland, Jeff was one of the first coaches that I spent some time with, and obviously, I feel like an offensive line coach is kind of the key to the kingdom on offense for us. And I had a lot of outside sources really give him a high recommendation, and someone that I should consider keeping. He's a really good offensive line coach, and these are from other professional coaches from around the league. And so we literally spent, gosh, it must have been an hour or so just in his office, just not only getting to know him, but just talking philosophy a little bit. And just he has a lot of energy, very, very excited. Obviously for him, I can understand it was a little bit of an unknown time, right? New head coach coming in. You don't know if you're going to be here or somewhere else. But I just assured him that, quite frankly, that he was going to be my offensive line coach. But it was a great meeting, a lot of energy, and obviously, looking back, a great decision on my part.
Go ahead, Bo, and then Zach.
Hey, Doug. I just wanted to follow up on the Josh McCown stuff since we don't see him. How are things going with that? Are you getting what you wanted out of that arrangement?
Yeah, things are going really well. He's been attentive in all the meetings. He's been a part of everything, and with the quarterbacks and with press. He's up on the game plan, So he's constantly in communication with Carson and the quarterbacks, obviously not only in the meetings, but privately outside of the building, which is really good. And so his impact is being felt, even though he's, out of the building at this time.
Zach, and then Les.
Hey, Doug, in Jordan Mailata's case, is there a chance that he could hold on to this job for the rest of the season if he does play well? And as a follow-up to that, with Jason Peters, because we really didn't ask you, is there a sense of what the timeline is for him?
In JP's case, obviously, we want to make sure he's 100% with the injury that he has, and look, he's a guy that, as you guys know, he's one that we have a maintenance plan with him as well during the week, and making sure he's ready to go on game days. He's doing really, really well in his rehab. Again, no timetable on his return at this time. In the case of Jordan Mailata, as long as he plays well right now, in the near future, obviously, it's his job. But at the same time, we understand that when JP's healthy, that's a decision that we're going to have to make at that particular time. So, we're focused on this week, getting Jordan ready to go. He's got a handful this week with Bud Dupree over there and TJ Watt and these guys. So, we're focused on that right now.
Les and then Ed.
Hey, Doug. This probably isn't front and center on your radar right now, but you guys have been really vigilant and lucky, I guess, with the COVID testing. You haven't had any problems in quite a while. Around the league, this is not so much the case. There are games being moved all over the place. This could affect you guys at some point through dominoes. How do you feel about the fact that perhaps other teams and coaches haven't taken this as seriously or haven't been as vigilant as you guys have? What are your thoughts on that right now?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, Les. And quite honestly, my concern is our players and my staff and making sure that we are adhering to the protocols. Obviously these are some things that these teams, they're out of our control. And we know, and I know that somewhere this season, it's going to directly affect us, whether it's in our building or it affects a game that we're going to play, and so we just have to listen. We just have to be diligent with how we approach each day. The testing protocols, the wearing of the masks. You see us at practice, coaches and players are wearing their masks or their neck, sort of those neck gaiters, and it's just a matter of us taking care of us, and we want to see the entire season being played. We know these next couple of weeks around the league, there's some Tuesday games and games being shifted to Monday, and it's probably eventually going to affect us somewhere down the line. But I'm honestly, I can't worry. If I worry about that, honestly, my stress level will go through the roof already. And so I just want to focus and make sure that our guys are doing the right thing.
Okay, thanks. And one more thing real quick. Quez Watkins, we kind of lost track of him. Where is he here? Is he playing this week?
Yeah, Quez was one of the players we activated from the IR list. So he's been working in practice. He's been getting himself back, sort of into game shape. We haven't made a decision yet on his status. But he's doing well. He's doing well.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Ed, and then Ruben.
Hi, Doug. TJ Edwards being out, obviously, we know all about the next man up mentality, but who is the next man up behind TJ? And is Sean Bradley, do you feel he's ready for a role in this defense?
Yeah, obviously, Nate Gary has played that spot, in the middle before. Sean Bradley isn't the next sort of that backup linebacker in that spot as well. And I do feel like Sean is ready to go, and it's always been a next man up mentality around here, and we know at the linebacker position or the last couple of seasons we've shifted some guys around, but we're comfortable with either with Nate playing in there and then Alex Singleton coming into the mix, along with Duke Riley, also with Sean Bradley and Davion Taylor. I mean, we're comfortable with the group that we have, and we know that they're going to, play well in TJ's absence until he comes back.
Ruben and then Martin.
Hey, Doug. We've seen the D-line over the last couple of weeks play at a really high level. What's been Matt Burke's kind of contribution? Obviously, he was here in a little bit different role, but you've gone through some different D-line coaches. What have you seen as far as his personal impact on this group playing at this level?
Well, I think he, the way he prepares the guys in practice each week, and we know that, we play, typically 4 tackles, 4 ends on a rotating basis, and these guys are well prepared, and that's a compliment to Coach Burke, and he prides himself in his preparation, obviously number one, and then getting his players, ready to go. And I think by just keeping them fresh and healthy and rested, these guys are playing at a high level, and it's really good to see, now with Javon Hargrave, in the mix and seeing what he can do and how disruptive he is and giving us depth there. And Hassan Ridgeway has played well as a situational role player, and it's just all kind of coming together for those guys, but they work hard in practice, and that's really what it's come down to.
Martin and then Kristen.
Hey, Doug. You were mentioning earlier that Alshon's probably is not going to play, and may or may not have Deshaun. So, I mean, obviously that would mean, another game with guys like Travis Fulgham and Hightower having to rely on them at wide receiver. What have you seen from those two guys in particular this week in practice? And, is that comfort level, getting more and more as the season goes on with those guys?
Yeah, every time they take valuable reps with the starters, it just gets a little more, routine with the quarterback with Carson, and these guys have really. Obviously, as coaches, we got to be careful on the amount of information, right, and the volume. We want to make sure it's small enough, but yet enough plays in the game plan where they can go play and execute, and they don't have to think a lot about a lot of moving parts, and keeping Travis in one spot and keeping Hightower in one spot. Obviously, Greg Ward can move around, and JJ in the mix, and these guys they work really, really hard. Is it perfect in practice? No, and I don't want it to be perfect, right? I want them to, as coaches, we want them to kind of fail so we can instruct them, right, and we can teach, and we can improve that way, or they can go over to the other field and work with Carson on the side. So these are all the things that we're seeing with these young receivers, and it is paying off in practice, and ultimately we hope it pays off, on game day.
We'll wrap it up with Kristen, John, and Marcus.
Good morning, Doug. If we can go back to Les's question about COVID for 1 second, was there ever a conversation with the league about what happens if a team has to miss, a certain number of games? Was there ever a conversation about penalties or forfeitures or what that situation would be like?
No, not specifically like that. Obviously we know that the schedule can be disrupted, games being moved, but nothing, I haven't been informed of anything other than that, right? Just games being moved around and shifted, and this is probably what we're going to expect probably the rest of the season with the COVID-19, and it's out of our control. I know the league is working diligently to try to provide answers to us, obviously, and then but we just have to do our part and maintain the protocols that we have.
Go ahead, John.
Hey, good morning, Doug.
Morning.
At Pittsburgh, nobody's blitzed more in their first 3 games. As a game planner, what kind of difficulties does that present to you, especially with all the moving parts that we've talked about on the offensive line?
Well, we look at blitzes differently probably than, say, the outside public or a statistic. This is a base 3-4 defense, and they like to bring 5 guys, so they're going to rush obviously Bud Dupree and Watt off of both edges. So and plus the 3 interior guys, so they consider that a pressure, and those are all things that we know when we play defenses like this. This is kind of their style. This is the style of I guess it's the expected pressure amount from defenses of this kind, right? The 34. However, with that being said, on first and second down, yeah, they pressure quite a bit, and it's something that we've studied all week. Obviously we put our guys in those situations, not only in the run game but also in the pass game with protections to try to handle all the pressure that they do, and it's all about recognition, with the quarterback, with the center, running back, tight end, whoever's in protection, recognizing the front, the coverage, whatever, and just doing their job. So it is something that we've studied. We prepare our players that way, and now it's a matter of just execution.
We'll wrap it up here with Marcus.
Hey, Doug. You saw baseball sort of go through a couple of outbreaks, and there wasn't a whole lot of penalty, even though some guys maybe did some wrong things. The first question is, do you think that the Titans should be penalized? Should they lose draft picks? Should they forfeit games? And do you think that this is – in baseball, it served as a wake-up call. a lot of teams started being a little bit more vigilant. Has it resonated through the league? Has it resonated in your building? And do you have a place where guys could go and sort of isolate themselves? Have you created a bubble the way that the New Orleans Saints have done?
Well, obviously I'm not the NFL league office, so I can't comment on penalties and fines and all that stuff. I mean, that's not for me to decide. So I can't control that, obviously. But what I can comment on is obviously what we're doing and how we're handling our situation here. I do think it's a little bit of a wake up call for the entire league, coaches and players, right? To maintain the protocols that are in place, everything that we started way back when camp began to now. We've got to maintain that, and we can't let our guards down at any one particular moment. We have to maintain that even when we leave the building. I guess the fear is, where do coaches and players go? I mean, we hope they go home, right? And that's probably the one fear that we all have. But my message to the team has been consistent. We're going to wear our masks. We have to test daily. We do have areas in the building where players can go and kind of get away and socially be apart from one another. All our meeting spaces, are set up that way. They're also set up to go virtual if we have to go virtual. So we have things in place that if there were something to happen, that we can jump on it right away.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, everybody.
All right, guys. Thank you.